This is in relation to my many of my previous posts. Adele at the Grammys. Adele is an artist that got album of the year or something like that, and she made a very telling admission at her accepting the award, and the admission was that the album that produced all these awards and got all these accolades was in direct result of a terrible relationship. And what I'm talking about here is that we need to see through the surface of things to see the underlying meaning, that out of the dark, out of our darkest light comes our brightest light. But the key is that I'm using a current, in the moment example. And the reason why I'm using the current, in the moment example is because that's the only thing that's truly fixed and set fast. The idea that is underlying and informing is not fixed and set fast. It can never be fixed and set fast in time. Only the phenomena in time, only the events that occur in time are fixed and set fast, are real, have existence. But that out of those only in the moment. And they are predicting this ever same events happening over and over and over, only in different forms. We've got to realize that these examples we give are actually the same example that has always been given. Out of tragedy comes comedy. The key is that by objectifying this, we can't take it, we depersonalize it. We can't take it too seriously. And this, by the way, having to do with my previous clip, has to do with a feminine trait. The feminine feels very, very vulnerable. And as far as sex therapy is shown, a woman cannot have, it's very difficult for a woman to have an orgasm when she feels vulnerable, a truly depth orgasmic release. She cannot feel without, when she is experiencing the feelings of vulnerability. So she has to feel safe. This safeness has to do with control, feeling like she needs to control. The feeling to control the situation so that she can feel safe, so that she can have that release of tension, is in relationship to having her menstruation come upon her out of her control. So it's a compensation. Being controlled by the menstruation is reflected in her desire to control events. And those controlling of events is for the purpose of her joyful participation in the world and having that orgasmic release. And this is symptomatic of all life. All life wants to be liberated and released from the fixed and set fast tensions that cause rigidity and concretization. And Heinrich Zimmer said, the first best things cannot be said, the second best things are always misunderstood, and the third best things we talk about. Once we fix and set fast them with terms and phrases, they drop down steps. And so to try to explain an event, to objectify and give an object lesson of those underlying eternal forms. See, eternal means timeless. Timeless means it's not in time. It's not fixed and set fast in time. This is why I love current events in the moment to describe the bigger picture that is informing all events in time. So there's a whole lot here. I had to share it. I had to get it out because it came to my consciousness. And the thing is that I really like what John David Ebert explained about Heidegger and Heidegger's example of consciousness as a clearing in a forest. It was very, very much near my own experience that consciousness sort of ebbs and flows in and out of reality and the ebb and flow is in relationship to the unconscious. So the unconscious takes over, and then we have this moment of clarity and realized understanding. Well, actually, a moment of clarity is just consciousness as far as I'm concerned. But the realization and understanding is actually a synthesis, a unity, a symbiosis of both the unconscious and conscious realms of the mind. And I believe and the way I'm using the unconscious is in reference to some of the terms Carl Jung used, in which time and space dissolve. So it's a timeless realm. It is not fixed and set fast in time. So when we're dreaming, for example, we can dream one instant of our childhood and the next instant of our own old age. So time, the rules of time and fixity and physics don't apply in the unconscious. And I find it also very telling that physics has discovered that one true empirical science, physics, that says these are the fixed and set fast laws all the time, has come to admit that within the black hole all space and time dissolve. That's very, very telling there, because the one science that has fixed laws that are supposed to apply to everything all the time also has to tip its hat to the fact that even in space-time there are anomalies, event horizons, to which the unknown and unknowable are on the threshold. So I wanted to bring that up. There's a lot here, and it has to do with the feminine, has to do with female, it has to do with the ever-recurring roles that the female wants to fix and set fast. She wants everything to be just so, because that affirms life. And the terms of life are space and time, so to say, and is time-oriented, so things must be fixed in time. And this fixity is in direct opposition to the complete and utter chaos of the timeless. But there are no value terms there. I don't put a value to the chaos as bad, because that limits it. There, in the chaos, in the tragedy, in the misery, just like Adele said, we can see underneath the surface and bring forth this wonderful, divinely superfluous beauty of her album. Adele said the album is, this wonderful beauty of this album arose out of the terrible hideousness of this bad relationship. And this divinely superfluous beauty is very much like I heard it referenced to a cherry tree once. I'm not sure if it was Campbell or somebody else who said, a cherry tree does not need hundreds of thousands of blossoms. The divinely superfluous beauty in life is not just necessity, not just randomness, but for us to say what it is, fixes it, set fast in time, and then it becomes limited, and then it's no longer timeless, and it dissolves because it's ever flowing. So the immediate example in the current events gives hint, is a metaphor or a symbol of the underlying informing agents that some people term the values. We got to get back to our values and all this stuff. This stuff is always pouring forth all the time. It's a cyclic event that always repeats itself in time, all the events in time. It's a cyclic event. Life is, birth, growth, death, rebirth. Those are the four, main deals, stages. So I wanted to point that out because I have a friend coming over, and I'm glad I got the time to do it. You guys have a great day.